Hey, fifth graders again. So this is the last video for our order of operations. Okay. So today we're going to do pretty much all practice problems on how to use the order of operations. Okay, and to solve various, whether they're word phrases, and turning them into an equation or expression, and then solving it, or them just giving us a expression and we have to solve. Okay. So lights just went out real quick. Let me grab those, and then we'll get started. Okay, so guys, much like all of our previous videos, I just want to review the actual order of operations and how we perform them. So, we always start with the first step. If we see anything inside parentheses, that's what we need to solve first. Okay? Then, if we see exponents, which we haven't seen much of any of them, any exponents this past week. But if we do, that is what we perform second within an equation. Third is multiplication and division. Remember, if there's multiplication and division in the same expression, we do it left to right. Okay? And then addition and subtraction is a lot like our last step. If we see addition and subtraction in the same equation, we perform it left to right. Okay, now when we're thinking of word phrases and turning them into expressions and solving, there's some clear differences between what we see and words they use that indicate parentheses and what words we indicate just to use whatever operation we have. So if we see product, difference, quotient, and sum, those are all buzzwords that revolve around the result of those operations. So that indicates that it wants us to put it in parentheses because that's what we have to do first. Okay? And then from there, all these other buzzwords just indicate no parentheses, and it just shows us that we just need to perform that operation with two numbers. It says for multiplication we see times, multiply half, division we see divided or divide and half as well. Addition we see add, added, add, plus. And then subtraction we have minus, minuses, take away, or subtract. Okay guys, let's get started. I'm going to go over to my PowerPoint here. We are going to start on page 641. We're going to start on page 641. One more time, 641. I want you guys to follow along in your teacher manual packet as we perform these and get these done, okay? Alright guys, so we're going to practice. You do not have this in your packet, but we're just going to start up with a practice problem, okay? And evaluate it based off of our order of operations. Okay, right off the bat, I see we have three operations. We have addition, we have multiplication, and we have subtraction. Okay? That's where I always start, is what operations do I have? Okay? But, right off the bat, I see that we have parentheses. I see that we have parentheses within the problem. And I know, according to my order of operations, I always have to do whatever in parentheses first. Okay? And I solve it one step at a time. So I see 8 minus 2 is in parentheses, so I know that 8 minus 2 is 6. Okay? Then I rewrite my equation. Okay. Now, I notice that I have multiplication, or addition and multiplication in there. Okay? According to my order of operations, I know I have to do multiplication first. Okay? So I do 2 times 6, which is 12. Remember, one step at a time. I rewrite my equation, 5 plus 12, and I end up with 17. Okay. Follow those order of operations. Okay, because if I do not do parentheses first here, it drastically changes the problem. Alright guys, so we are on page 641 in your teacher's manual packet. Go ahead and follow along with me. Okay, it says, Anya sells bracelets and pairs of earrings at a craft fair. Each item sells for $8. Okay? Write a word phrase that describes the calculations you would do to find how much money Anya makes by selling 23 bracelets and 17 pairs of earrings. Then write and evaluate an expression to find how much money she makes. Okay, wow. So we have to do a couple different things here. Okay? We have to do a couple different things. We have to write an equation depicting this problem and how much money Anya makes by selling her items. Okay? As well as a word phrase. Okay, we haven't had to really create word phrases yet. So, here we go. Remember, she has bracelets, she has earrings. Those are the two items she's selling. And she's selling both of those items for $8. Okay? So, we know that each item is going to be $8. And then, the big key part here, too, is she's selling 23 bracelets and 17 earrings, right? So really, all we have to do is add how many total items she was able to sell based on the $8 she's selling per item, because they're both the same price, right? So we know that we have to add first, okay? So we know we're adding 23 bracelets and 17 earrings to figure out the total number of items she sold, okay? And then we can multiply that by 8 because each item is sold at $8 per item, right? But this is where it's going to get tricky, okay? We know that we have to figure out how many items she sold first. Because if we just left the equation like this, we would mess up because we would know that we wouldn't know how many items she sold first. And if we follow our order of operations, we know that we have to multiply before we add, okay? So what can I do to make sure that we add first? Well, parentheses, right? Parentheses trumps all, okay? Parentheses mean that we have to do whatever's inside those parentheses first no matter what, okay? And voila, here's our equation. We know how many total items she has sold between the earrings and the bracelets, and then after that, we know that all of the items are $8, so we multiply the total items by 8, and that's how we figure out the price. So, let's go to our word phrase before we actually solve. Okay? Word phrase. Alright? So, I know it's 8 times, because I know that I don't have these within parentheses, so I can just use a buzzword for multiplication, which means 8 times, now what? Now, what do we notice? Parentheses. So parentheses tell me that I have to do that first. Parentheses also indicate that it's the result of whatever operation is in there. So when I think of addition, what's the result of addition? The sum. 8 times the sum of 23 and 17. And I don't have enough room, so typically I would write it out in word form, but I'm just going to put the numbers here. So my phrase would be 8 times the sum of 23 and 17. Awesome, guys. Alright, so now we do have to solve it, though, it says. So, let's solve. Alright, so I know I have to do whatever's in parentheses first. 23 plus 17 equals 40. One step at a time, I end up with 8 times 40. Ooh, goes back to a skill we practiced at the very beginning of the year. Remember base 10 models? I hope so. I see that this is 0, right? So let's just do 8 times 4, which I know is 32. And then what? I bet you at home can answer this. I just add the 0 because it's a base 10 model. Or it's a power of 10, I should say. 320 $. That's how much it is. Alright? Coolio? Alright, let's go over to the next page. And we're on number 2 on page 642. Okay, 642. Alright. It says write numerical expressions for the product of 3 and 2 plus 5 and 3 times the sum of 2 and 5. Which expression has a greater value? So let's just break it down and actually write the equations based off of the phrases that it gives us, okay? Let's start with the first one. It says the product of 3 and 2 plus 5. Okay, product, remember, that's a big buzzword for saying the result of multiplication. So why not put it in parentheses? So I have 3 times 2, and then it says plus 5. Doesn't say the sum of 5 and another number, it just says plus 5. So I know that I just have to add 5 at the end. Okay? Fair enough. Alright, now let's go with another one. Alright, it says 3 times the sum of 2 and 5. So it's kind of just flipped. The parentheses are just located in different places. So I see 3 times. Times just indicates multiplication, not the result of multiplication. So I have 3 times the sum of 2 and 5. Sum indicates the result of addition. So I know that should be in parentheses. 2 and 5. Oops. I always want to write and. 2 and 5, right? Very good. Alright. Then we just need to solve both. Solve both and figure out which one's greater. Okay? So remember, parentheses first, and I only solve one at a time. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 5 equals 11. Fair enough? Alright. Then we got here. Parentheses first. 2 plus 5 would be 7 times 3 equals 21. Which one's greater? And that would be the second one. Alright guys, here we go. We're going to do one more. Well, yeah, let's do one more. Okay guys, we're going to go to number 3. Number 3. Okay, it says, actually we might do 2 more. It says, which expression represents the quotient of 2,375 and 125 plus 5? So remember, quotient typically means what? The result of division, right? But if I look at all of A, B, C, and D, I don't see parentheses around 2,375 and 125 and a division sign between them, right? But there is still a correct answer here. Okay? When we think of order of operations, what do we do first? Division or addition? Well, it's division, right? So technically, it's this guy right here. Now, it doesn't have parentheses, but it's correct because if you follow order of operations, you know that you will do division before addition anyways. So if I would do this, I would divide 2,375 by 125, and then after that I would add 5. So, although the quotient typically indicates parentheses, like I've told you all in every single one of these videos, in this case, this one actually does work if you follow order of operations. Okay? Now, if this was times 5 instead of plus 5, then I might change the answer just slightly. Okay? Alright guys, here we go. Let's do one more. Let's go to, ooh, I like this one. Let's go to number 6 on page 641.